Hey, David, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Terrific. How is everyone faring on this snowy Monday?
Well, excuse the hat and everything. I haven't even taken a shower yet today.
It
Just been
snowed?
busy. I took a break at lunch and then was out there, for the last hour. Helped out the Abrantes. They had a pile that was twice the size of mine. So
Oh gosh,
It's
was that just because of the way the plow came down the road, or
I
what?
guess,
Or
yeah,
or maybe the drifting, however the winds were.
yeah, could have been. I don't know. They it would he'd be out there for hours. So I went and
Um,
ran over with my snowblower.
I was out there from
And how was
8:30
your
to
chain?
11:30. So
Did you get your chain undone?
no, I'll have to bring that in the garage next day
Oh,
or two, see if I can pull that chain out of my auger. Somebody left a huge chain at the top of my driveway buried in the snow, and I sucked it up. Luckily, I have a
that's
second snowblower.
well, that's good. Well dressed up too.
Was all dressed. Nice.
Why don't you have the USA hockey jersey on?
There you go. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's on order.
Nice.
that's right. First time since 1980, right? For the men anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was a good game, huh?
I know. I don't understand how Hughes just jumped right back in there after losing a tooth. I'd be like crying home to my mom.
Well,
Did you lose two? I think you lost two teeth.
One and
Two
a
front
yeah, it
teeth.
was definitely several teeth that were damaged, and
Jeez.
yeah,
He didn't
well,
seem to
that's
care.
No,
no, that's well, that's hockey, I guess.
it was with the territory, right?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Let's see. How do we see participants here? Okay.
Okay. I don't know if we have a quorum yet.
No, let's give it another couple minutes. I'm sure Jack will be joining. And
Okay. Oh, there's Baird.
are any
Okay.
of the selectmen going to join?
Louise is
Yeah.
here.
I'm here.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Oh, Bear's here.
Baird's here. Okay.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Worked on the first try. It's a rare thing.
Nice. Let's give a minute or two, see if Debbie joins too. Or else we need our secretary to record minutes.
I can do so if needed.
Okay. Can try texting her too. Give me a second here. I think I have her. Thought I had her.
oh, there's Jack. I'll admit him now. There we go.
Okay.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Jack. How's it going?
Good. Hey, everyone.
Hey, Jack.
All right. Well, why don't we get going? So everyone, we don't want to delay things here. If Debbie joins, Baird, you can just give her any notes that you have.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to kick the meeting off, 6:02. Present myself, Jack, Baird, Will, and Ken. I'll open it up for public comment. Quick. I just see Hal.
I have nothing.
Okay, thanks, Hal. Okay. I'm going to skip over additions because there's a regular meeting. Okay. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Only if you want to discuss the statement of work from CLA that I sent over just a few minutes ago. You can either discuss that tonight or you can put it on a future agenda.
No, we can do that. We'll do that as new business C.
Okay.
Okay. COA, was it?
Statement of work for
Statement of work.
the
Yep.
2026 audit.
Yep. Great. Okay. All right. And we'll go right into new business with your presentation.
All right, let me go ahead and share this screen. All right, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Great. Okay. So the town staff and I and also the Board of Selectmen have gone through our budget with a fine-tooth comb. Many of you are familiar with this process from years past, and I'm happy to run you through sort of the high points, and then I'm also going to share with you some of the good work that we've done on ClearGov. I'm really excited about that. This year, the key personnel budget drivers are roughly a 3% cost of living adjustment. And then, as with the local Board of Ed and RAM, because we all participate in the same health insurance consortium, we are looking at that same 15% increase in health insurance, which, that's very significant and unfortunate. And then the Board of Selectmen and I also discussed several personnel additions. The first is a market-based pay adjustment for our Human Services Director. And that is to get her compensated roughly in line with what similar positions in other towns are receiving, and to retain her. I mean, frankly, from my perspective, she's doing a very, very good job. And it would be really awful to lose her. And frankly, what she's asking for is not out of line with what other towns are paying people to do similar jobs.
Can I ask what that percentage is?
It is, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's roughly $13,000.
What is her current?
I believe it's just under 60, like 59 and change.
Okay.
Yep. And then we're also asking for a part-time assistant at the senior center. Marlborough has a significant and rapidly growing senior population, and right now we have the director and a very part-time van driver. The director is doing a really admirable job, but this other position would provide coverage when she's performing social services duties outside the senior center. They could assist with scheduling transportation services and also planning day trips and other activities for Marlborough seniors. Then we are also asking for a kind of an entry-level public works, parks and facilities maintenance role. This would not require a commercial driver's license, so we could pay them less than our other maintainers and other positions. And we are partially offsetting the cost of this by having them perform the cleaning and trash pickup responsibilities that we currently pay All Waste and a third-party cleaning contractor to do. So they would empty the trash
Is that
receptacles.
for the fields and parks and stuff?
Yeah, so Blish Park and at the Public Works Garage is where All Waste comes. This individual, could use a town vehicle, but would empty those trash receptacles and take it to our own transfer station. And then they could also clean the town buildings in lieu of our current contract cleaning service. And then the idea is that they would also be kind of on the front lines maintaining our parks and cemeteries, which is an issue not only during the summer growing season when the grass grows very tall very quickly, or often does, depending upon the weather. They would lead the seasonal employees, and they would also be available during that April to June timeframe when there is spring baseball. And sometimes I think there may even be a junior spring soccer. And frankly, that's before seasonal employees. I mean, if we get some college kids who are home for the summer, that's before they're even available. And so just at one of the recent Board of Selectmen meetings, we had a room full of parents and coaches and that who understandably are keen to see our fields maintained better than they are. And so this request comes out of that reality.
Yeah, we saw similar comments on the cemetery as well, maintenance.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if we want to maintain all of these beautiful facilities that we have, whether they be cemeteries or playing fields or the town green, at the same time that we want our current crew to be out, fixing potholes after the long winter and cleaning out catch basins and doing roadside mowing and all of that work that also needs to be done and that we demand of them, then we need to provide some more resources. And this is the way in which I'd like to do it. And then the other ask on the personnel side is for a town hall assistant. We would combine this with the current part-time sexton, so they would perform that work, and that would partially offset the cost of hiring this individual. But the first thing that I would really want them to work on would be to start preparing to facilitate a smooth transition for when our town planner chooses to retire. We have a magnificent town planner. I am in no rush. I will hang on to him for as long as he is willing to work. But I think we all need to be mindful that the day will come when he decides that he no longer wants to be full-time, when he no longer wants to come into work. And that is going to be, because of his institutional memory and knowledge, that's going to be a difficult transition. And, I think about how difficult it was when we lost our finance director and how we have spent, years and very significant funds, catching up and rebuilding the finance function. And I don't want to go through the same thing on the planning side, because Peter has been so involved in so many things. So that would be the primary responsibility. They could also provide support to the fire marshal. And then the other thing, this would not be probably in the first year, but we have benefited enormously by regionalizing other functions and joining other towns in regionalizing. We joined a consortium with Bolton for our building official. We are evaluating right now and are in the process of joining a consortium for our animal control officer. That is that consortium is based out of East Haddam, and one of the key functions that the state OPM is really cognizant of being difficult to fill is that of the assessor. Marlborough is very fortunate to have a terrific assessor. But if he were to leave or retire, we would be in a very difficult position. And so what I would like to do over the next few years is build out that capacity and find partners who could join with us and use our very good assessor to create a regional function based in Marlborough that would benefit us and other towns and would allow us to benefit from the terrific assessor that we have. But doing that, would also benefit from having this sort of full-time town hall assistant who could be assigned to some of these special projects. So those are the key personnel budget drivers. Key operating budget drivers. Oh, here I will. I'll scroll down here. Can't see these. There we go. Compensated absences. This has to do with a new GASB rule that was put into place, I believe, in 2020, either 2024 or 2025. And so the way in which the auditors are instructed to calculate and assess the viability of our compensated absences has changed, and accordingly the way in which we budget for it has to change a little bit. So compensated absences in the way that I'm talking about it is where you say, okay, who in our organization is eligible to retire this year, and if they did that, how much accrued but unused vacation and sick leave and any other time, how much would on their way out the door, what would their buyback or payout be for those accrued but unused compensated absences, and under this new GASB rule we have to budget for that. Then for the building official, as you may recall from last year, we joined this consortium out of Bolton, and we received an RPIP grant from the state that for the first 3 years covers 50% of the cost of that building official. What we opted to do with that grant was to have the grant pay 75%, 50%, 25%, and then obviously it goes away entirely, so 0% in year 4. So, not only is he inappropriately so getting the 3% cost of living adjustment and the 15% increase in health insurance, but the grant is phasing out. So therefore, we have to make up that difference.
What year are we in with the grant? How many more years are left?
We currently are in the first year. The budget that we're talking about is year 2.
Okay.
Yep. And then as with your home and businesses, if you own a business, electricity costs continue to increase. So we've gone through carefully and looked at how many kilowatt hours we are using. I'm also continuing to work with a broker to see how low we can get that supply rate. But the public benefits charge and the delivery charges are consistent and beyond our control. Then we also have additional elections costs, some of them the result of unfunded state mandates, and some of them the product of this just being kind of an on-cycle year in which we not only have a budget referendum, which we have every year, but we are anticipating 2 primaries. It seems like there will be a primary for the gubernatorial race on both the Republican and Democratic sides. And then we have the gubernatorial election and the midterm election, thankfully, on the same day in November. So the registrar of voters budget for these elections this year, and I would note that for each of the two primaries, there is a required 1 week of early voting, and for the November election, there are 2 weeks of early voting. So the cost of doing all of this is significantly more than it was in past years, including last year. So that's also a very significant driver.
Are any of those costs reimbursable?
Not yet, but that is an issue that the state legislature has taken up during this short session. Rumor has it that they may do something similar to what they did last year, which I think every town in Connecticut got roughly $10,000 to partially offset the new expenses. But I don't yet know what the legislature will decide to do.
Okay. When would you or guesstimate would know in time for when we review revenues? And if so, I would assume they would be reflected in the revenue assumptions.
Yes. I can certainly guess, but I don't have a crystal ball with respect to our legislature. I believe that the session actually does not end until after our budget referendum, if I'm not mistaken. But it is also possible, they don't have to wait until the last day of the session to pass legislation. So if there is sort of consensus around this issue, they could adopt something like this. The governor could sign it before our budget referendum. I just don't know what the legislature will do.
Thank you.
Yep. And then we had our longtime animal control officer retire, and it was good while it lasted. He performed that essential function for very little money. There is no one. I mean, I've checked several other neighboring towns. There is no one who is going to give us the deal that he did.
Was he dedicated to Marlborough, or was he shared with another town?
I think that he may have done work for other towns, but it was not coordinated. I mean, he kind of contracted independently with a variety of towns. It was not through Marlborough. So what I'm looking at doing here, as I think I mentioned just a few minutes ago, is joining an existing consortium based out of East Haddam. They provide services in East Hampton and Columbia. So, adding Marlborough would not be completely out of the way. And I will also apply for one of these RPIP grants. I don't know if we will receive it, but you never get anything that you don't ask for. So we'll try and at least partially offset that cost increase. And then the last key operating budget driver concerns our police department. As you know, our officers have both body cams and dash cams. And because we are a resident state trooper town, until very recently, we purchased those cameras, and they were compatible. They could basically be plugged in at Troop K, and then Troop K was responsible for storing those videos. And if there was a public records request or discovery during a court proceeding, then Troop K handled all of those requests on our behalf, which was absolutely fantastic. The state police are now transitioning away from that model, and they have signed a contract for kind of body cameras as a service, if you will. So there is an annual fee, and then the contractor provides the devices. And more importantly, I mean, this is where the real expense is, the cloud storage to store it and back it up and all of that. And because the state police are moving in that direction, we will no longer, we don't have the option of continuing with the status quo because they will no longer maintain the system that we are plugging our current cameras into. So if we want to remain as a resident state trooper town, which I think is in our best interest, then the option that we have is to latch on to that contract, which means spending a significant amount of money, for the cameras for our local constables under the auspices of this contract.
Have we ever, I'm just thinking, shared services is in my mind. Have we ever talked to like East Hampton about coverage? I don't even know if that's possible, but another town that has its own service.
I have not approached East Hampton about that specifically. We certainly could investigate that. I don't know if that would yield cost savings. When you look at what we pay for our resident state trooper, it's actually, from my perspective, a remarkably good deal when you factor in not just the wage and the benefits, but the equipment and the vehicle and the administrative support that we get out of Troop K in terms of maintaining our records, responding to records requests, and all of that. We really do get a lot of value for what we pay to participate in the resident state trooper program.
Yeah, I guess I'd just be curious, like, there might be some, savings from East Hampton side too, if they can, allocate some cost out and, if they have some capacity. I don't know, it's probably worth checking into.
Yeah, we can certainly happy to check into it, but for the purposes of sort of
for budgeting,
this budget cycle, I think this is kind of where we are.
Yeah.
Key operating budget softeners. Some of you, in fact, I think everyone has likely met our incoming finance director. We have struggled for several years to attract and retain a permanent finance director, and I'm very pleased that it has worked out to share a finance director with the town of Woodbridge. And at that same time, in fact, I hope that we're able to finalize it later this week. Woodbridge and Marlborough will jointly apply for one of these RPIP grants so that in addition to the cost savings associated with sharing this individual for the first 3 years, the state will also kick in half of those costs. So that will be a significant softener. And then as we kind of clear the last gate and catch up on our audits, we will have reduced reliance on contractors for finance and audit work. And then later tonight, when we discuss the statement of work, you will see that the expense of engaging, in this case it's CLA, but engaging an audit firm is coming down, which is wonderful. We are finally addressing in a significant and permanent way the challenges that we have had in our finance department, and I'm excited to welcome Tony on board, and then also turn my attention to other areas that are demanding my attention, including some of those drivers that we discussed on the previous slide. In terms of our capital budget, in addition to the standard contributions to our capital non-recurring reserves, which the practice of doing this long predates my arrival in Marlborough, but I will never stop saying it. I am so impressed that Marlboro has a culture of contributing annually to these CNR reserves, and I fully support continuing that practice. I think it is magnificent. We also have some very important projects planned for this year. The Quinn Road culvert construction. We budgeted for most of that project last year. We are going to need to just budget a small difference this year, and then with the idea being that we will bid it out so that it can actually be performed this construction season. We were a little bit late to the game last year, and so it could not be done. And then we're also looking to, after sort of postponing this project a couple of times in past budget cycles, we are looking at finally lining the culvert on Johnson Road. We also need to replace the roof on both the Public Works Garage and the Town Hall. Both have been temporarily patched, but they were leaking earlier this year. And then the food bank is in, I mean, if you drive down South Main Street past there, you don't even have to pull into the driveway. You can see that the exterior paint is visibly, chipping and peeling off. That home has beautiful wood siding, and I think that we would do really well to invest in repainting it before the wood underneath gets damaged and requires even more costly repairs. Then Firehouse 2, and if you would like, at any time during the budget process or after, I'm happy to take you on a tour of Firehouse 2. It is showing its age and needs some TLC. In particular, this year we want to do some work in the bathrooms and the kitchen. We're very grateful that this last year you approved and the residents of Marlboro paid for a significant upgrade to the water filtration system and water treatment system, so that the water coming out of those faucets and shower heads is much cleaner than it was before. By upgrading the bathrooms, we want to create a facility where when our volunteer firefighters get back from the site of a fire, they can comfortably shower there without taking those contaminants home to their families. And right now the bathroom facilities are in pretty rough conditions, such that some firefighters choose to go home and shower. And for everyone's safety, including their family members, I don't want that to be. I really want them to all feel comfortable and strongly prefer taking that initial shower at the firehouse, so that those contaminants can be contained.
Is that the only does Firehouse 1 have a shower, or is that the only one that has shower facilities?
I have been in Firehouse 1 a few times. They certainly have a bathroom. I don't recall seeing a shower there.
Let me ask a question about Public Works. For several years, there was an effort to get that metal building up to the point where it could be used for vehicle maintenance, including a lift, heat, other resources.
Yes.
Where do we stand with that? Is that still a work in progress?
No, that building is insulated, heated, full of things, and it is in use. We do not have a lift, but of the things that you just articulated, that is the only one that we have not yet done. So that project is completed and the building is in use.
And you completed the drainage out for the drainage out to the catch for waste, like oil spill and stuff like that. That was all
Oil
done?
spill. I will check on that. I think so, but because the building is in use, but I will confirm that.
Okay. The reason I bring that up, if the only thing left is the lift, I mean, we've been trying to do a lot of vehicle maintenance to eliminate or push off the need for replacement. I just want to make sure that we're giving as much facility as we need to accomplish that goal.
Could not agree more. We did prioritize that project, especially with ARPA funds, and I'm very grateful for the efforts that our Public Works leadership has made to refurbish trucks and extend their life. And that's one reason why we do need to make some of these investments in their facilities. We are also at a point where, over the next few years, we need to gradually renew the Public Works fleet. You can extend the life of a truck by several years, but you cannot extend it indefinitely. And so it is time to renew some of those. And we do have in our capital budget the purchase of in F-450 or similar truck. And then we also plan on replacing one of the single axle dump trucks, but that will not touch it is the intent of the Board of Selectmen to use some of the funds from the speed cameras on North Main Street. So that new dump truck would not hit the tax levy. It's not part of the leviable funds in the proposed budget, but it is their intent to replace one of those dump trucks with those alternative funds. And
that's the single axle. That's the single axle dump truck.
That's correct. The
in this current
is part of the budget that would touch the tax levy. The single axle dump truck, which is significantly more expensive, would be paid for from speed camera monies.
Okay.
David, just quick, the food bank, is there discussion on long-term plans on that in terms of divesting or, relocating? And, if so, does exterior painting affect that either way?
The Board of Selectmen, as part of this capital budget, have had what I would characterize as preliminary conversations around that facility. We would need to find a different place, but the good news is that the water quality tests that we are required to do each year have been improving, and we are now, to the best of my knowledge, above that threshold where that home could be used as a residence again. So if we could find appropriate space for the food bank to operate, we could evaluate whether it makes sense to sell that house.
And then just for awareness, do we owe anything on that house? Would it just be, whatever it's sold for would be gross revenue for the town plus any future tax funds from a residential owner?
Yes, there's no mortgage or lien on it. I believe the town owns it outright. So whatever the proceeds of that sale would be gross revenues, and then obviously it would go back on the tax rolls, which would be great.
Has there been any further discussion about the possibility of us taking control of the state DOT garage?
I have spoken with Senator Austin about it. She is willing to be helpful to us, and I also spoke with the DOT commissioner when he came to Marlboro to do what's it called, a press conference about the new sidewalks that the state helped us pay for, and he, as you might imagine, is very busy and gets pulled in a lot of different directions, but at least in the moment he was open to further discussions about that.
Because that would open us up to a lot of moving things around, like maybe getting the police office out of Fire Station 2, maybe using that lower level for food bank. I mean, there's a lot of things we could do to move things around that would result potentially in us being able to divest ourselves of the Willinger property.
Agreed. And so, doing that, those assessments and having those conversations are something that I absolutely look forward to. With respect to this capital budget, whether we retain the Willinger property as a food bank or make arrangements to host the food bank elsewhere and sell it, I think that it is in our interest to paint the exterior, both for sort of appearance sake, if we put it on the market, but regardless of what we do, just to protect the wood siding from damage and even more costly repairs. So I think that the amount that it would cost to repaint that house is money well spent, regardless of what we decide to do with the property.
Do you have an estimate for the cost to repaint it?
I have not actually gone out and gotten bids, but I would anticipate. I think in the budget I put $30,000 in as a placeholder.
I guess as it comes down to question, we're better off to vinyl the darn thing.
I'm not sure how much
Would vinyl be more expensive?
Yeah, so
Yeah, that seems really high to me, at least. I mean,
Yeah,
had my
I was gonna guess 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say 15 to 20, but
okay.
so it might be worth getting a couple of bids before in the next month or so you can nail
see if
that
we
down.
could pare that back a little bit. Yeah. I'd be happy to do that because the figure that I put in there is a placeholder. I was guessing, and I certainly didn't want to come in below.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think it
Like I
does.
said, look at all.
Makes
If we're
sense.
gonna do anything to that building, maybe look at vinyl siding instead. That might be a little more attractive to a future buyer. If we get rid of it, it's not going to sell for top dollar. It's definitely seen some age, interior wise too. So, but if we're going to dump some money into it, I'd rather see us dump money into it that's going to be not just a patch on it.
Well,
Oh,
I think we gotta be. I think we gotta be smart about it too, and not put. If we can paint it for 15 versus vinyl for 30, I think from my perspective, the 15 makes a lot more sense for a
I'll take the
property that you're
15.
not going to get back 15,000 on. I don't think. It's
Well, that'd be
if it
worth
looks-
getting
it-
both quotes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think that is certainly a very good and welcome suggestion, but I think that sort of level of detail really rests with the Board of Selectmen.
Well, plus I'd be curious to see once you start really looking at it, what the condition of that clapboards are, cedar board.
Yeah, that's fair as well. So at this point, we have that placeholder in the budget, and I'm just going through the projects that we have planned. And then the final project is up at the transfer station. The compactor that we have there has seen better days. To the best of my knowledge, it has been in use in Marlborough for at least 25 years with very limited maintenance, but it really is starting to show its age and is starting to wear out. I think that we can. Thankfully, the Public Works employee who kind of oversees the transfer station, from what I understand, is a very skilled welder. And I think that he can, at fairly low cost, keep it going for, a few more months and potentially a little bit longer. But I think that it would be wise to, and that's why we have put a compactor replacement in the budget, because we certainly don't want to find ourselves in the situation where we have to purchase one on an emergency basis, and then in the meantime, while we're waiting for ours to arrive, have to rent a compactor at significantly higher expense. So that is a facility that is very important to our town, and I don't want any unexpected interruptions to that important service.
And I know we did the retaining walls and concrete around the perimeter, around the dumpsters. What about is the paving of that area on the agenda or not?
I know that we had planned on doing some kind of not a full paving job, but bringing some millings in from other projects and kind of putting them down there. I think that Jim Grossman has done some of that. That does not preclude, in the future doing a more comprehensive repaving job. But given everything else that we have on the docket, I don't think that that's going to happen this year.
Okay, because when I've been up there, that pavement is in pretty rough shape.
I don't disagree, but as everyone in this meeting is aware, budgeting is in exercise in prioritization, and we have a lot of roads and culvert facilities that are in rough shape.
Yeah.
And we bought the equipment for them to be able to do the patching.
So yeah, but your point is well taken, and I don't disagree. Then just in conclusion, I'm very excited to share that we with our incoming finance director's help, we have stood up kind of what I'm going to characterize as the skeletal version of ClearGov, which is a magnificent platform for presenting municipal budgets and showing trends and year over year and all sorts of terrific data. And there is a link here, but I also want to show you, if I open a different tab, can you still see it? Like, can you see this tab?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see it.
All right, hang on one second. I got to run across the room to grab the keyboard. Okay, if you go to the town's webpage, and then right up, you'll have to close this, right up at the top, you see departments, boards, commission, services, contact us, budget. If you click on budget, it will take you to ClearGov. And I would encourage you to begin exploring. Now, I do want to insert the following caveat, and that is that Tony and I are building this plane as we fly. So there are some numbers that are going to be updated. There are some numbers that have a placeholder in there that are going to change, including some that we have discussed tonight. The revenues in particular, there is a section down here where you can look at the revenues. I would characterize those numbers as very preliminary. We still need to do some work around transfers in from the WPCA and other sources of revenue that traditionally have been available before we back into a mill rate. We're still very early in that process, but I am, and you will also see that there are entire sections like this transmittal letter that I need to add. So if you come back tomorrow, you very likely will see, particularly like narrative components that are not here now. So I hope that you will check back sort of early and often to see this kind of further develop. So let me just show you something here. Hang on. So you can see kind of year over year expenditures by object. you can see, I mean, I think those graphs are all fine and well, but I really like this table, where it shows you 3 years of actuals, and then, the adopted budget and the proposed budget. And you can go through this for, every department in the town and see all of this. It has been a lot of work to stand this up. I have done some of it. Tony has done even more of it, and I am enormously grateful to him. But as I mentioned before, we are building the plane as we fly. So I want this to be available both to you, to the Board of Selectmen, and to the general public. But please know that especially this first year, you will see it kind of improve in some cases on a daily basis. And then I think that when we get to this point next year, adding another year and updating the narrative components is significantly less work than doing everything for the first time, especially gathering all of that historical data and getting it all input. So I'm very excited to share this with you. I hope that you will take some time.
A couple of personnel questions.
Hey, Ken, just before you go personnel, I just had a couple related questions here, if that's all right.
Right.
Two things here, David. So, number one, now we kind of have two budget tabs. There's the budget page on the website, but then now under the drop down, there's a budget. So I don't know if that could be consolidated just for clarity. And then two, I think we discussed it last meeting a little bit, but on the actual budget, like tab on the homepage, it's still a lot of 25, 26 fiscal year links in terms of workshops and the budget stuff. It looks like the possibly this presentation was added, but everything else looks a lot still 25, 26. So I don't know if you need me to send anything to Gail or someone else, or if that's something that could just be updated on your end.
Yeah, no, Gail is working on it. She has been doing some battle and has been trying to get some help from Revise, which is the company that hosts our website. So I know that she has been working on it, but it has not been as easy as certainly I expected. So thank you for that reminder. And while I always want to sort of retain a historical record, I think that especially since ClearGov does have prior years in it, I think it would be wise to have the calendar of meetings so that everyone knows when things are happening. But I want ClearGov to be that one source of truth instead of trying to maintain multiple versions and spreadsheets and different things. The purpose of implementing ClearGov was for this to be the place that everyone looks and can rely upon.
Yeah, I think it's great because sometimes it is hard to have to dig between different spreadsheets, different presentations, but to have it interactive this way, I think has a lot of great potential down long term.
And please, I mean, you're obviously welcome to ask questions at any meeting, but don't wait for the next meeting. If you're going through this and you have any questions, and this goes for members of the committee or members of the public, email me, call me. I mean, if I know it off the top of my head, I'll certainly tell you. And if I need to look into something or delve deeper to get you an answer, I'm happy to do that. So if you see something that doesn't make sense to you or whatever, my door's open. Ask the question. Don't be shy.
So are we going to talk increase percentage wise or David?
Sure. So right now, the town total for operations, it would be a 6.44% with all of the personnel additions that we are requesting. If we removed those personnel additions, it would drop down to 4.52. The town capital, which as we discussed, I mean, we do have some significant facilities needs, is increasing $119,293 relative to last year, which represents a 10.56% the overall town total in the aggregate is 7.06%.
7.06%.
Yes. Now, obviously, this is the initial proposal, and as I mentioned earlier, budgeting is an exercise in prioritization, and we obviously the role of the Board of Finance is to balance, is to strike that balance between the real and documented needs of the town to maintain these facilities and have trucks that work when it snows and to do all sorts of other things with the financial constraints of our residents and taxpayers. And I am mindful, I live nearby as well, and I am mindful of the affordability issues that many of us are feeling. And so, the likelihood of being able to ask our residents for a 7% increase is slim to none. So, we can and should, and I'm confident will, have further discussions about, how to balance these needs and put forward a budget at referendum that our residents can support.
And David, the surplus from the 24 audit that has been accounted for,
so that
is being used?
No, not. I mean, that would be accounted for on the revenue side. So that's what the Board of Finance. That's what this board would do, is say, okay, we have this this surplus here that gets pulled into the unassigned fund balance, and then you decide at a later date how much of that unassigned fund balance you want to apply toward this budget. So we do have a balance from the 24 audit, and my goal is to finish the 25 audit before we go to referendum. So there very likely will be a surplus there as well. So my goal is to not only get caught up because it's the right thing to do, but to also get the people on this board the information that you need to make an informed decision around the unassigned fund balance.
And what was that? Do you know that 24 audit balance, just for reference?
I do not remember it off the top of my head, but it is in one of these sections.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't it in excess of 300? Wasn't it like 360 or something like that? I'm trying to remember.
Doing things from memory is always dangerous, especially when
I had 450 on my mind for some reason.
Yeah,
so I think it's more than that,
I was
in that
thinking
range.
north of 400, but I don't remember the exact figure.
Okay, going back to personnel just for a second. You mentioned a couple of fairly significant salary increases for non-union people, the senior center person and and elsewhere. Other than that, are raises pretty much the same, or does it vary on individual?
For the members of unions, it follows the collective bargaining agreement.
I'm talking about non-union.
Yeah, for non-union, it's the 3% cost of living adjustment.
Would you be open to providing a complete list of the non-union employees and what their respective increases are being proposed?
Possibly. I'd like to talk with the Board of Selectmen about that. We've had ongoing discussions about that.
Okay, something we had years ago, but for several years we kind of weren't allowed to have that information, or it wasn't very readily available. The other thing, Public Works, you're talking about adding the additional person. For several years, I think off and on, we had like vacancies in Public Works. Are we fully staffed there now, or do we still have any vacancies?
We are currently fully staffed, but as I shared with the Board of Selectmen at their last meeting, Jim Grossman and Dylan Boutot resigned as supervisors. And so we will be looking to fill those positions in the near future.
Okay, but do you anticipate that might be more costly to replace them than what you're currently paying? Sounds like we have trouble replacing people at their old rates.
I think that is true in almost every organization, in
Yep.
towns and beyond.
Okay.
Hey, David. Going back to the health insurance, 15% assumption that you're using. Have you thought of 2028 or 2029 if that's the new baseline, or because that's a pretty big increase, and as you know, benefits compound over time. So what forecasts have you used for those outer years, or what thought have you put into for those outer years?
Well, so I mean, these numbers, I meet monthly with the Health Insurance Consortium Board, and at those meetings, we do have a professional consultant who, prepares the as best as he can, I suppose, tries to predict the future. I don't know what the next several years are going to bring, in part because there is so much happening in the health insurance space that, I mean, I certainly hope that 15%, and you're right that it does compound, but I hope that as an annual increase, that this is sort of the high water mark. But I'm really not in any position to guarantee a particular number in 28 or in 29.
Well, based on my recollection, 15% seems to be the typical number we've used as a placeholder over the years. And then the reality ends up being anywhere from very low percentage up into the teens. So it bounces all over the place. Is there anything particularly driving this year? I think I heard maybe some particular claims or such that might be driving a every year increase this year.
There were a handful of claims in the consortium that were obviously adverse to our financial position. And then I also think that some of the changes at the federal level may also be contributing at least in a tangential way to some of these increases. At least at the last meeting, the consultant shared with us. He said that he performs a similar role for I think he said between 45 and 50 different clients, of whom Region 8 is one, and he said with the exception of maybe 5 of them, everyone else is looking at a sort of 13 to 20% increase. So he said, at least this year, 15% is kind of par for the course. That doesn't make it any easier. It certainly doesn't make any of us happy, but it's not significantly different than what other health insurance groups are experiencing. I mean, it is not out of line with the average.
I would think too that, as I know the school still has a fair amount of teachers that are nearing retirement, and I'm not sure, you mentioned Peter and stuff. So, I would think typically people that replace them are going to be younger and generally healthier and have less claims. So that's possibly something we can look forward to.
Don't pick on us old folks.
I'm right there. My shoulder's killing me, but no, I'm just thinking a little longer out, like Lo was suggesting. So.
David, when you have a chance, would it be possible for you to share a copy of your budget presentation with us so we can reference
Yeah,
that?
I'm
Absolutely. And I apologize that I didn't send it in advance, but I did email it just a few minutes before the meeting started to Mike. So if he would forward that email on to you, I would be very grateful. And I can also talk with Mike if he would like me to just email the board members directly. I'm also willing to do that.
Thank you, David.
Of course.
Yeah, you can send it to Jack and I. We can get it pushed.
Okay.
Two things. I did click around, so this website is very nice, the ClearGov. I do see the 23-24 surplus is the most recent one listed, and it's a 453,121. So if anyone's wondering. And then David, question for you. Where are you in the Board of Selectmen now at in the process? Where are your next steps? Are you
David, going back to
so where are you guys at in the process? Are you at a point where we're waiting on Board of Finance guidance? Is there still discussion and tweaking on your end? What are your next steps?
I think that there is still some discussion and tweaking, especially around things like compensated absences and some of the other certainly less exciting parts of the budget, but where we might be able to find some at least modest cost savings. And then I think that where the next step for me anyway, and then by extension the Board of Selectmen, and then frankly the Board of Finance. I mean, this is really your wheelhouse. Once I get the information to you, is the revenue side of the budget, because that really influences once we can zero in on the revenue, on the non-property tax revenue available to us. Then we kind of back into a mill rate, and then at that point, you will remember from prior years, that's when we could kind of say, okay, the local Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen, need to trim X percent or Y dollars to get us to a point where we feel comfortable taking this to our voters.
And then I don't know when everything's obviously still preliminary on all three parties. But having that, real time fillable worksheet, especially now, not, with the reassessment and mill rate obviously going to be looking different. Being able to, plug numbers in, I found super helpful because it gets us down to a tax increase, which is at the bottom line what the residents are going to be looking at. So whenever, we're able to incorporate that in these discussions in these meetings, I think is super helpful.
Absolutely. I think that's been key in years past, and I'm happy to do that again. So we have that available to us.
And just to build on that point, David, I haven't played around with it yet. It looks fantastic. I would just note that I think the sooner that kind of more of the narrative portion is put up there to help explain to the average citizen what they're looking at, the better.
Agreed. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, because there's already just once assessments came out, I was trying to comment on a couple Marlboro Happenings page posts because people were up in arms that their taxes were going to be up 50%. Where hopefully that's not anywhere close to what we're looking at. But
yes, you're right.
I think Weekly and the River East or on the website or both, just hammering that point in is going to help calm some of the nerves.
David, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I can now, but I was struggling earlier. So go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate your presentation this evening, walking us through the numbers. I did see on the Marlboro website the 6-year plan for capital I was just looking at the outer years of the capital plan, in particular the infrastructure projects, and how we anticipate funding them, and what the projected debt service impact would be. Could we see maybe a projected debt schedule showing operating impact over the next 5 years? Because the numbers were, they were high, and I was also thinking of what the alterations project with the school would also entail. So I think that would also be helpful, just understanding, 3-4 years out, what our leverage would be as a town.
Are you counting on bonding down the road for some of these larger expenditures?
I mean, certainly for the major alterations project at the school, that would certainly be something that we would bond for. And then, as we're looking at doing some projects to take care of and maintain town facilities, whether it be the public works garage or other facilities, there is the potential to bond for some of those as well. I don't anticipate that those will be as expensive as the school project, but I think that they could rise above the threshold where it could make sense to bond for them.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's a smart move in the sense to bond for projects of a certain size. However, there are a slew of projects that you have listed on your 6-year capital plan, which I appreciate. That's what we asked for on the onset of this budget cycle. So, looking at the numbers and doing some back of the napkin math, it does add up. 5 years, 5 years from now, those payments will be sizable if we do bond those projects in addition to the school project alterations. So I'm just curious to see what that impact would be, and if there, I don't know if there are any bonds rolling off that we have rolling off in the next few years that would offset. But my numbers, my math tells me that there's going to be about $650,000 per year, assuming all capital is bonded. By 2032.
on the ClearGov at the bottom, there's the debt services overview, and the debt summary is there.
Oh,
it shows
there
it shows
is.
a big drop off in 2031.
Where do I get that, Mike?
The very bottom.
I'm on the website. Where?
Yeah,
over on
debt
the
service
left,
overview.
scroll down, there's a debt service page. And if you click on that, then it will, even though the screen in this room is very large, my eyes are not what they used to be. So but it does look like within the next 3 years or so, we must have at least one significant bond that's dropping off.
Are your capital projects in that chart?
No, this is just debt service for debt that we currently have obligated. It would obviously change if voters approved any new bonds.
Okay. Yeah. So layering in the projects that you have listed or identified, which is great. We don't want surprises. We don't want to sign the letter for the mill rate in April or May, hopefully May, and then have to go through another capital project acquisition. So I appreciate the openness, but the level of projects plus the alterations project, which is going to be substantial, right? We need to just be careful of what we do going forward. We don't want to kick the can down the road, end up in a predicament, and not be able to. We don't want to over leverage ourselves, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
David, can you click on the debt services overview? You see that on the left at the bottom?
Yep, that's where I am.
No, left
You're
more.
on debt service. Down further, there's debt service overview.
Oh, got it.
At the
Okay.
bottom. If you click on that and then
And
go
then
to
summary.
debt summary,
That summary. Okay.
that's
Yep.
that's what I was referring to. So you can
Debt by
see
debt summary.
2031, it drops by like 400,000.
Yeah, we need to have. I would like to have David layer on top what the new projects would look like with, you know, that those blue charts, those blue lines are great. Maybe David, if you can figure out a way to have that website updated with maybe additions or, you know, projects for 2028, 29, 30, and 31, what that impact would look like going outward.
Well, this is just that.
because
This
once
is
we,
just the. This is just the
This is
debt that
current
we've
debt.
already issued, right? So this won't
Yeah,
get
this is
adjusted
current
until we
debt.
bond,
projected debt.
right?
But
we
What
got-
I'm asking, David,
David's
is
point, and
to look
understand.
at the forecasted debt service. That's okay. Thank you.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Thank you,
You're
David.
talking about the bigger projects, something that we bond,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, right. But I understand what Will is asking
Yeah.
for, and it
Yeah, I
is a
mean-
good idea to say, hey, if we did do all of this and we have to issue a bond for, I'm making this up, $3 million, you know, that would add,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
You have South Road.
$150,000 to our debt service, or, you know,
You have
whatever,
this.
more
right.
than that.
Yeah, you have the South Road culvert, the Hodge Road culvert, the 258 West Road culvert in the
Yeah.
next 3 years, and that's almost $2.5 million worth of capital. Plus, you know,
Well, where
the
did you
paving-
find the
the paving in
capital
Lafayette.
the capital of sheet that you're looking at?
I'm on the. I was looking at the Board of Selectmen packet from last week.
So it is in the Board of Selectmen packet. I'm also
And,
happy to
okay.
email it to you and Jack.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, if you
I
could
was
do
just
that
referencing
too.
it. Yep.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is one thing is Fire Station 1, is that still something that's being kind of bounced around as possible expansion, or is that kind of way down the road?
I mean, I think that something like that would be expensive enough that I guess I'd kind of like to get through the major alterations project at the school first, you know, see where we stand with respect to our mill rate and frankly how our residents are feeling financially and kind of take it from there. I'm very hesitant. That's not to say that the facility isn't, you know, in need of significant renovation or replacement. I think that it is, but like you, I want to be very mindful of how we're going to finance and pay for all of these facilities.
Well, that's why my attention keeps getting drawn back to the DOT garage. And I see that as a possibility for future relocation of the fire department, police department, and other things there. So that's why I keep coming back to that.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but there is a very important stakeholder, namely the DOT, that needs to be on board before that can happen.
Right. And they're you know, not utilizing it too extensively. I'm sure today they probably did. But again, it could be some kind of a shared facility, let them maintain certain access to like the salt barn or stuff like that, or staging, stuff like that. But, you know, I just keep coming back to that facility because I drive by it every day and I see it very minimal use there right now.
Yeah. Okay. I want to keep this moving along. So are there any other questions with regards to David's presentation? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So David, if you can just if you want to send this and then the selectmen's capital sheet to Jack and I, we'll get it distributed out.
Absolutely. Happy to send that along. When you say this, do you mean ClearGov or?
Oh, well, no, the one that the presentation that you went over.
Oh, okay. So the presentation and the capital. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So we'll move on to the COA statement of work.
Yes. So, oh, here I can, Mike, I emailed it to you at like 5:30 today, so you can certainly
Oh,
be
okay.
forgiven if you haven't looked at it, much less forwarded it on.
I have not.
Yeah, that's fine. And if you all want to take action tonight, you can. If you want, I don't recall when your next meeting is, but your meeting cadence is frequent enough that if you want to review this and take action at your next meeting, that's fine as well.
We have a meeting with Ram on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's a special meeting.
Right. Doesn't mean we couldn't tack this on to that.
Well, you would need to put it on the agenda before you
Right.
post the agenda because you can't add things
Right.
at the meeting at a special
Right.
meeting.
Right.
But if you put it on the agenda tomorrow
morning for Thursday. So, but let's
yeah. But honestly, the first 11 pages are boilerplate. I think they're exactly the same as in prior years. What you get to at the end is the dollar figure, which is for the audit $56,000, and then for the agreed upon procedures audit, which is a standard which we do every year. I believe it's required by the state, is $7,000 for, so that is a total of $63,000 for CLA to do the 26 audit.
Do we know how that compares to our current year?
That's roughly in line with the current year. We budgeted in the current year $100,000, but that was with the intent of doing basically a year and a half of audits and having more than just one single audit year to pay for. So relative to what I have heard of other similarly sized towns of similar complexity, I think that CLA is being fair. I think this is a good number, and it would certainly be my recommendation that we don't switch horses at this point in the race. I would really like to get 25 done and then have CLA lined up so that with our new finance director, we can start 26 promptly and get it filed timely, in advance of the deadline, no longer be delinquent with anything. And then, after that audit is filed, if you choose to do so, and I think that it would be wise to at that point do an RFP and allow, CLA if they want, but also other firms to respond to it.
I'm inclined to agree. Where is CLA located, headquartered? I mean,
CLA is a national firm. The office that services us is in West Hartford.
Okay.
I'm inclined to agree. And if this is the regular meeting, I don't see a reason to not go ahead and approve this. I think we want to get this done as quickly as possible.
If this is in line with what you budgeted and it's consistent with our current year, I would just as soon just get this going and just lock this down.
Okay. Does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the was it memorandum of understanding?
The
I'll
statement
second.
of work.
Statement of work.
Okay, I would make a motion we approve acceptance of this statement of work from CLA.
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I think everyone. Great. So motion passes 5-0. David, you can move forward.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Financial reports. Did anyone have any?
I mean, Ram is going to present on Wednesday. Their budget. I mean, I'll just give you a precursor. It's a
Well, I think
4.36.
financials, not liaisons quite yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
if we got
Oops.
Jack, did you see? I don't think I saw.
That's what I was just going back to see. I should have backtracked it when I was putting the agenda together.
Yeah, I don't think so. So why don't we reach out, or David, can you check with Karen, see if she's, or have Gail check with Karen, see if they have any updated financials they can send us, and then we'll review it and send any questions.
Absolutely. I will do that first thing in the morning.
Great. All right, then we can move on to liaison.
Sorry about that.
No,
For Ram, I jumped the gun. Ram presentation is this Wednesday, $33.2 million, or 4.36% increase is what they're looking at. So we'll hear that from Colin on Wednesday.
One more time on that number. Will, sorry.
33,180,313 dollars, and it's a 4.36% increase. The website, the Ram website, has his presentation on it.
Yeah. Okay.
It goes through it pretty thoroughly.
Good. Thanks. Any questions for Will? No. Then go to Board of Ed.
Yeah, unfortunately, I really wasn't prepared tonight, so I don't have anything to update. I'm not aware of anything significant, but I don't have anything to update.
We just heard from Holly too, so we got the major highlights
Right.
in terms of budget standpoint.
Yeah. Okay. Move on to the approval of the minutes. Motion on the February 2nd, 2026 minutes.
I'll make a motion for February 2nd approval.
Second.
Okay.
Sorry, who motioned and seconded there? I'm trying to write quick.
Yeah.
Ken Yolstrom did the first.
Can motion.
Jack seconded.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is there any questions or
This is
discussion
the-
on this minute?
February 2nd one. Sorry.
Yeah. I didn't.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then I will. All in favor? February 2nd.
Aye.
Right.
Abstain.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes with Jack abstaining. Can I have a motion for February 9th?
I make a motion to accept the February 9th meeting minutes.
Seconded.
Okay. Are there any questions or discussion on those? No. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Ken, I didn't hear you.
Yep.
You're good. Okay. Cool. Motion passes. I didn't have any correspondence, so I'll open it back up for public comment. No, hearing no public comment. I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:26. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great.
I'll second that motion for my minutes.
All right. Well, David, thank you for your time, and glad we were able to get this on Zoom for everybody and keep it on track. So we'll get it back together on Wednesday.
Sounds
Are
great.
we in the town hall
Yes.
for Wednesday, David? Mike, sorry.
believe so.
All right. Thank you.
Is that
Yeah.
6:30?
That's 6:30, yes.
Okay.
6:30 town hall agenda's posted, RAM budget discussion. And then I don't know if I know we just adjourned, but just housekeeping. Travis did put in a resignation as an alternate. I'm not
Oh,
sure if
okay.
the board is
I don't know
aware of
that.
that.
Okay. Thanks
So
for
the
letting me
open
know.
alternate position.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
not sure if it's been discussed at Board of Selectmen. I know that that's what starts the clock, to be able to fill it. Once that's formally announced, but I believe he sent it in last week.
Yeah, Louise, do you know what's the what's the period? Is it 30 days after they resign that you can fill that? I don't remember. You're on mute.
We got the resignation letter. It was sent to Lauren at the town clerk's office. She forwards it over to the Board of Selectmen and to David. And it'll start like on March 3rd. We'll have a discussion at that meeting, but it's gonna be posted in the paper for 30 days. Right?
Yeah.
David?
I thought there was a 30-day.
Yes,
And-
I think the 30 days starts when it first appears in the River East.
Yes, and now hopefully it'll be next Friday, and then within 30 days, we'll appoint someone.
Okay.
There's already an R and a D on the board,
Yeah.
right, now your alternates, so it could be either one, either a Republican or Democrat that fills his spot. Okay,
Okay, great. Thanks.
all right,
Thanks, everyone.
See you Wednesday. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
good night,
All right,
everybody,
thank you, everyone.
thank
Good
you.
night.